Welcome in to another edition of Tapping the Keg Podcast, episode 132, the lost episode. Last week, we were supposed to have it be 132. Then I screwed it up, and so now this is 132, and it's kind of funny because I can call it the lost episode because Nolan Murphy, my old podcast co-host, is with me tonight. He's pinch hitting for Mitch, who's really busy this week at work. Kind of like the Russell Branion of Tapping the Keg. Murph, how are you, buddy?
Oh, dude, I'm way more than that. I'm like Deion Sanders, World Series, early '90s. I'm
Oh,
gonna come off, hit a double, steal third.
oh yeah, that's how
It's great to be here. Happy to be back with Snow Tap. Yeah, I'm excited to tap the keg once again. Something I made famous in Milwaukee.
You made famous. That's exactly it. So yeah, we're just gonna talk about a couple topics. I don't necessarily know how long we'll go. It's a little different when you're on video than versus on the on just talking. As for the why we didn't do an audio component, I thought we'd sound better this way. If we don't, so what? But hopefully we'll be good, and we're gonna dive right into it. Before we get fully started, I do have a question because we talking pre-show about things, and I'd mentioned that I was working out. You'd mentioned you were working out. Oh, whoa. Excuse me, real quick.
Technical difficulties in the Snow Tap
Yeah,
headquarters.
I'm hearing myself back, and I don't know why.
It's probably because you don't have headphones in.
No, I have headphones in.
Oh,
Here we go.
is it recording?
It
I
was.
can see my volume going up and down.
Oh yeah, it's recording. So this is great because this will be live, so everyone will get to experience this. No, my
Charlie
Google
101.
Plus was playing in the background, and all of a sudden it started recording me, started playbacking. So maybe people are watching this live. This is just a completely. I don't have any followers on YouTube. I think I have like 17 on Google Plus. So
I have the most popular YouTube video ever in the history of ESPN Cleveland, so I might have a few.
Do you really? Is that
The Johnny Manziel?
oh, okay?
Yeah, the Johnny Manziel video that's like over 1 million views from the 2014 NFL draft.
All right. Remembered when you shot that. So yeah, no. So you're all over it then. Well, one thing I was gonna ask you because we were talking about working out. We were both working out after work, like most people who jog a 40-hour day or 8-hour day. Have you seen like an upward trend in like couples working out together? I know that's kind of a random
Oh
question
yeah,
to start.
it's disgusting. I feel like it's just like dude, get your own stuff handled. Like, I mean, I know you're gonna get like maybe dinner later, watch some of the what's that your MTV show that you love?
My girlfriend's really big into Catfish. I guess we can go with
Yeah,
Catfish
the
there.
Catfish or like any of the
Your Real Housewives.
TV
Your
shows. Real Housewives. You're gonna watch The Challenge. I mean, I'm just trying to get my stuff done on my own, get a sweat out. I'm trying to at least bang a podcast out, listen to one while I'm working out, and get some work done. I'm that dude on the BlackBerry working out, so.
and the thing is like I'm not trying to be sexist here. I've asked my girlfriend about this. So I was kind of like I cleared it in pre-production a long time ago, and then like Mitch doesn't really work out. No shade to Mitch, but so me and you can kind of have a honest discussion about this. It's like I don't know why. What's the allure of it? I don't know what's the big deal with it. It's doesn't seem like it's that entertaining or it's that like what you like. And they're doing the same lifts. It's like as a guy, like guys and girls are supposed to do different lifts. That's simple science. And then you're seeing them doing the same thing. It's like you don't really want to be working on those muscles. Like that's not necessarily. I guess maybe. But maybe I'm just a misogynist. I don't know.
Yeah, I just want my girl to be toned at the end of the day, but I think it just comes down to that girlfriend that's nervous about like her man checking out that fat booty in the weight room. So just one of those things where like she meets you outside of your office after work, like you just got handcuffs on you.
Yeah, something or another, because it's nutty. But yeah,
That's not
it's just
in the world of Murph's relationship. That is not involved. So
no, me either. And like she does her own thing, I do my own thing. I'm sure she wouldn't mind if I came to one of her spin classes or something like that. But I'm sure my ass would just be sorer than all hell after one of those. So certainly can't
man,
keep
that's
up.
like that's bachelor stuff right there. When you start going to spin classes, trying to pick up a few dates, like Tinder Plus almost.
Yeah, I'd definitely wear some leggings if I was gonna go there. I might as well go all out. Leggings, all the whole 9 yards. So all right, let's actually get to sports.
I'm wearing Zubas in a hockey jersey.
Are you
Sports? Come on.
sports? Really, what the big topic obviously is the national championship. Went down last night. The Badgers fell short, 68 to 63, I believe was the final. I was then called a Badger troll by some friends, and just it wasn't meant to be for the Badgers. They struggled down the stretch. They only made 2 shots in their last 11 possessions,
They
and
choked.
okay? So is that what you're going with? Do you think they choked, or do you think they ran out of gas?
I mean, it doesn't matter if they ran out of gas. It's still a choke. I mean, running out of gas is like a side or a footnote of choking. I mean, I don't think you're a Badger troll, Charlie. You're more of like a Badger orc. I mean, trolls are like 5'5", like 130. You're definitely like swinging a big club. But the Badgers choked. All the national media said it. I'm just disappointed. I was cheering for the Badgers last night. Not something I really want to go on the record, but I wish their fans would have handled themselves a little differently. And this is another chapter in how Wisconsin fans, as a state, have really handled themselves, dating back to the Packers' loss in the NFC Championship game. I mean, I know it's really tough, but you don't want to become Boston fans or Cleveland fans, people that just think everything happens wrong. You got to take the punches and figure out what you need to do to win that game.
Yeah, you know what? I didn't understand just sort of this. I kind of blame Bo Ryan for that. Bo Ryan, after the game, criticized the officials with Tracy Wolfson, kind of did with the media that was there, and like he threw a Molotov cocktail to the rest of the fans, and I think the refs are bad. So you guys are more welcome to make the same sort of assumptions. And I think that really like made the fans sort of like feel like it's okay to complain about the officials. Like people were calling this a screw job. Like people said that they were out to get the Badgers.
Duke always gets the most calls. Obviously the statistics back it up. The Badgers fall the least in the nation this past year, but that's what you're gonna have. I mean, I don't like to make excuses, but in these tournament games, when you have crew, you get these inconsistent games, and that's the worst thing. And that's what we saw last night. They should have let them just play the entire game. Duke manhandled Wisconsin. I mean, even talking to people that aren't very big sports fans, I felt like Duke was a lot more physical with that Wisconsin team, and I think that's where the running out of gas kind of comes up to. I don't think Frank Kaminsky and definitely Sam Decker are used to being banged that often for 40 minutes.
Well, and I thought Frank actually played a really good game until the final 4 minutes. I thought he dominated Okafor for the most part on both sides of the ball. Okafor couldn't get simple bunnies. He struggled mightily. And so to that credit, but Bo had to take Frank out at some point. Frank stayed in way too long, and he struggled down the stretch because he did run out of gas. I think if anyone ran out of gas, it was Frank.
Yeah, you could tell. I mean, they had no sets at the end of that game. I mean, they just couldn't handle another punch. They could have used a player like, the latest Blue Devil kind of devil himself, Grayson Allen. They could have used a Josh Gasser performance like that last night. I mean, Nigel Hayes played out of his mind. The guy's got a huge upside. I don't remember the guy's name that was on Decker for most of the game, but he did an amazing job on Decker, letting him get in a rhythm. And
it was the Duke switches a lot. They run like a switch style defense. Justice Winslow probably had a lot of it. Justice Winslow's defense is as good as you're going to see coming out of next year's draft. It was a lot of Justice Winslow. It was also a little bit of Emil Jefferson, who played a huge role coming off the bench.
Yeah, Emil
All
Jefferson played pretty well, I think.
the fact of the matter is Duke's bench showed up and Wisconsin's bench did it, and that was another huge part of this game before we even get to the fact about officials.
Yeah, I think the Badgers didn't have the depth at the end of the day, something that not a lot of people would have pointed to leading up into the game or leading up into the tournament. But, Gasser was non-existent. Trayvon Jackson was awful, I thought.
Yeah,
he really didn't have any pace or any style to his game. I know he was a big team leader for that team, and he can hit threes, but he took a couple threes where they were front rim, and there just wasn't – I would have liked to see the freshman, number 30 for the Badgers, get a little more play. He played throughout the tournament, very sparingly, but the Badgers just needed another body last night to bring more energy.
Yeah, I definitely think that there were some issues with the Badgers in terms of where they need more bodies. Vito Brown is not a bench contributor. Zach Showalter, not what you usually want out of your contributors.
Yeah, Vito Brown, but he could have been. I mean, Zach Showalter is thankfully a scholarship player, but that's a kid from Germantown that's really worked his way to become, a full ride player on the Wisconsin Badger team.
Oh, did we lose Murph? Oh.
I'm here.
Oh, you're here? Okay. We're having, just so everyone who is watching, we're having a little bit of video difficulty. The lag time's a little bad. Sometimes this happens with Google Hangouts, unfortunately. So if you are noticing that, I just disabled the HD. So hopefully that helps. Plus, do you really want to see my mug in HD? Yeah. But so if you see some issues, just ride with it. It's a momentary thing. So if it's too annoying, I understand. So continue. But yeah, you're right. I going back real quick. Josh Gasser, to me, is like the St. Louis Cardinals of that team. Like, he just, I don't know, something about him that just doesn't sit right with me. And I think he gets a lot of praise. Like, CBS 58 was in Sheboygan for the game, and it's like, guy had 0 points. Like, he's a vital contributor, but like, and he did all the other little things, but he needed to score. He's a huge part of that team, and he didn't even make a bucket last night. So talk about how gritty and grimy he was. I mean, come on, it's not even close.
Yeah, Bo went away from his game plan, I thought, in that second half once Duke came back roaring, and it was unfortunate. Then the Badgers got up by 9, but it's the story of the game is them running their gas and them choking the game. I think that's really all to be said. It's something, this topic has been pounded into the ground on a Tuesday after the national championship game. A pretty slow day in sports after opening day. So I've said all I need to say about this Wisconsin Badgers run. It was amazing. It was cool for the state, but
yeah, and real quick, just to mention it, the tweets that Diamond Stone received after the game, because he put the laughing cry emoji. I'm sure you guys know it. I'm probably describing it like shit, but he basically was laughing at Wisconsin, which is kind of wasn't the best of decisions. But he's 18. I think then we all would laugh at our rivals, or according to him, Dwayne Wilson and Jameel McKay once made fun of Wisconsin after losing to Mississippi because Bo Ryan didn't recruit the city of Milwaukee, according to them. So that being said, he got all sorts of shit from Badger fans, all talking about his ACT scores, talking about calling him all sorts of names. It was just a bad moment for.
Diamond Stone got into Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Diamond Stone got into Wisconsin 3 weeks before his decision.
That's the narrative, but he did get in. Anyone can talk to anybody in the local media, people who work in who've been in the high school teams. He got in. He just decided to go to Maryland, and reasons why, who knows?
There's more exposure for them, and he's going to be on a better team. I mean, Maryland's probably going to be a top 2, top 3 favorite for the Big Ten next year, and
they're top 10 in the nation
Wells
probably to start the year. Well, Wells is gone, but they have Jake Lehman coming back. They're a top 10 team probably to start the year. The one thing I did find interesting, he's like, well, I really liked how he developed Alex Len as the NBA player. I'm like, Alex Len? I mean, he's all right. But I
Alex
don't
Len's a
know.
good player, but I don't think he developed him that much. I mean, he's really had to work with that Suns team since he got there to become the
Right.
player he is. I think Alex Len might end up being a top 15 center in the NBA, but he's a great daily fantasy player right now. But I don't think Alex Len's not something to hang your hat on.
No, and that's a perfect transition to the NBA, which we'll get to now. You being from Cleveland, part of the land, getting set for Cavs playoffs, first time in how many years? 4, 5?
Yeah,
For
it's
the,
been the whole. It would be 4 years. They clinched the playoff spot. With a Bulls loss tonight in Orlando and the Cavs win tomorrow against your Milwaukee Bucks, the Cavs would have clinched their first Central Division title since 2010 as well. So that's
okay.
what's kind of on the line here.
And so, what's the general vibe right now? Going into it, is it championship or bust like it was November? Is there kind of some uncertainty with how good the West has been, or with the Hawks? I don't think anyone's worried about the Hawks, but I kind of think that's a mistake. What's kind of the vibe, at least from media perspective, and then I guess from fans' perspective?
Well, nothing is going to stop this team. I think nationally, locally, and the fans. The fans are the last to always get on board. Traditionally in Cleveland here, people really don't get behind the Cavaliers till the second round of the playoffs. Cleveland will have to, wait till the NFL draft ends. That's always a big time here. Always look for the next quarterback. But I mean, this team has dominated the West since January. It's dominated the East. They play it in an efficiency right now where they take a lot of threes. They're spacing people out. They're a matchup problem. Just want to clinch that number 2 seed so they can start resting guys. And you're going to see next week, I mean, Kevin Love, LeBron James, Kyrie Irving, they all will not be playing.
So they're basically just going to let them sort of deal with their own stuff, and they'll sit with the 2 seed, be okay with whomever comes to them, whether it is Miami, which is obviously the most fascinating, Brooklyn, which is the least fascinating, and if the Bucks slide, which they shouldn't because they have the easiest schedule after Cleveland, it's a breeze for the Bucks. Maybe the Bucks, but gotta hope not.
Yeah, I think the Heat are out of it. I think it's the Pacers, maybe the Nets. I really want to see the Celtics here just so I can see my boy Simmons here, Ryan Russillo roll through, even maybe a little Zach Lowe action. Simmons has done a lot of hate to Cleveland the last 4 years, and they definitely want to see an ass beating of the Celtics, a 4-0 sweep.
Speaking of Simmons, he had Brian Windhorst on last week, and Windhorst had a lot of interesting comments about Dave Blatt not calling plays, timeouts that Tyronn Lue was calling, which is kind of known, and then the Kevin Love sort of relationship and how things were going. How did the local media make of that? I know Windhorst is in Cleveland, but he's still a national guy in Cleveland.
Yeah, I mean, I have a pretty good relationship with Brian. He has a show every Friday morning called Hey Wendy. None of this stuff was really news. I mean, you have to understand the IQ of a Cavaliers fan is not very high. Everything's been blown out of proportion here all year by the local media. So I think the podcast was really for Simmons to really get the word out because the Cavaliers are going to be a huge hot button come playoff time. None of it was a big news. I mean, yeah, LeBron calls his plays. He has more experience than David Blatt. I think they're really just ready to get done with this season and figure it out. So locally here, I mean, people just hate Simmons. So, and they respect Windy. Some people do, but
what's that?
They respect Windy, but to an extent, he's a LeBron follower. He's made a career literally. He graduated from St. Vincent St. Mary's a few years before LeBron, and he's made his pay by being a LeBron inside source. And
God
LeBron,
bless him, man. Snake it till you make it. Snake it till you make it. I love Windhorst's game. He coattails LeBron, and like he's a really good reporter too. I'm not throwing shade at him. I'm just saying when coattails makes it sound like LeBron's the only reason he's where he is today. But he got lucky. He won the journalistic lottery. Because if there was like LeBron-like kid at Tosa West a couple of years younger, I think I would have transferred home, went to UWM, and would have just grinded my ass off. I don't think, it's just how it goes. So speaking of home, so Milwaukee, they're probably going to clinch a playoff spot here soon. the Chicago, the real awkward thing right now, since you're in Cleveland, is people don't want to see the Bulls, not because they don't think they could beat the Bulls. It's more that they don't want Chicago fans infesting the Bradley Center. I was there last Wednesday night, and it was 75-25 Bulls fans. It was terrible. Let's go Bulls chants drowned out the stadium, man. It was so bad. It was my
Yeah, it
first.
will never change.
No, it won't. But what's interesting is the Bucks marketing team, who does a great job. They're trying to get ahead of it. Today, I just got an email from them that you can get the first 2 playoff games and the last game of the season for $35 at the low rate, $90 for lower bowl seats.
That's a great deal.
Yeah,
Those
exactly.
Cavs seats will be going for $120 a piece, if not more.
Right. And so, but that's just the way to drive the Chicago market out of there. Is they hope that at least the lower bowl will be filled. For me personally, I have no idea. I have to wait, and I probably won't pull the trigger because I have no idea what my schedule looks like after each day. So I'm, the NBA playoff schedule I don't think comes out till Thursday of next week. So I think that deal will probably run out by then. But that's a great deal, and that's a good way to not only get Bucks fans, but also get like the youth, get the 18 to 30 crowd. It's a little drunker, that's a little more rowdy, and not have a bunch of white hairs in the lower bowl, just kind of giving golf claps to good Bucks play.
Yeah, you don't need a bunch of fibs. I mean, I was at the Bulls-Pistons game the Friday before Easter, April 3rd. I mean, the Bulls still have a huge following. It's a huge city, a huge metropolitan. I mean, it packed the United Center, so it makes sense why the Bulls fans would travel. I'm really hoping for the Bulls and Wizards to play.
Yeah, they don't like
somehow.
Each other.
I don't know if it's still in play, but they could beat the Bulls. That's really the only team I'm super scared of in the Eastern Conference. But I'm hoping for Milwaukee to maybe knock off Toronto or something like that.
Yeah, it'd be nice. It'd be fun. It'd be fun to have a little run for the Bucks.
The problem with the Bucks is they haven't played nearly as well since Michael Carter.
Yeah, I mean that's another discussion for another time. But I think they're going to be better in the long run. If they draft a guy like Tyus Jones, who's projected right around where the Bucks are picking, they could be right there and ready to go next year.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully Jason Kidd turns him around, Michael Carter-Williams. But I'm excited to watch the Bucks. I'm excited for the NBA playoffs, man. It's going to be a blast. It's been a blast. I've probably covered over 10 Cavs games, mostly big games. Got a chance to talk with Chris Webber last Thursday during that Cavs Heat game, and they're excited. TNT is going to be here a lot. TNT will be broadcasting the Eastern Conference games this year, so it should be a really fun time.
I mean, you do realize if you get drinks with Charles Barkley, you at least have to blog about it, or we have to have you on the podcast to talk about it. That's kind of the rules in that one.
What was that?
Oh, it said if you have drinks with Charles Barkley, you have to at least document it in podcast or the blog. We have to. I mean, we need the stories,
Yeah, the only time I've ever talked to Charles, I asked him for an interview after the Clipper game, and he's like, "Nah, man, I'm good." He was in Cleveland to get his hip replaced.
Oh,
but as
that's
he was
right.
walking away, he's like, "I'll see y'all in the Eastern Conference Finals." So that was pretty funny.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Yeah, it's tough. I got a big event Saturday night of the NBA playoffs. So I'm kind of hoping the Bucks don't play that Saturday night. I got event during the day that next Saturday too. So it's dance card's filling up, but we'll fit some NBA playoffs. NHL playoffs get started soon, right? They get started like this weekend. I don't know. I jump into the NHL after the playoffs start. I'm a horrible human being. Murph, you there? Did we lose Murph? We'll see if we lost Murph. We might have. Yeah, this is a lot more technical difficulties than I had the last time I did this. It was a lot easier, but staring at let's see here. There's no Murph. Murph, you back or no?
Yes.
All right.
I think I'm back now. It was
Yeah.
pretty choppy there for a little bit. I was trying to pick words out. Hopefully the sound picks it up a little better.
Yeah, I don't know. As I just explained to the people who are going to be watching this later, that just some technical difficulties. You can't control that. I don't know why we're getting such a bad connection tonight. We've done this just for fun with friends, and we've had pretty solid connection. So I don't know
I
why.
had pretty bad Wi-Fi, I would say. So I'll take the hit on that end.
You couldn't do it at the studio one time for us? Gonna help us out?
Dude, it's like 10 o'clock on the East Coast here, man. I got to get some shut-eye at some point.
I'm just giving you a shit. All right. Well, we'll try to run through a couple other topics. I guess before we go to the Masters, real quickly, the Packers. Sean Richardson just got offered a offer sheet from the Raiders. The Packers have till Monday to match it. Ted's not going to let Richardson go, right? He's like one of the best special teams players and a vital backup if Burnett or Clinton Dix gets hurt. Oh. Not good. You guys look at all my faces, but it's all good. It's all right. We'll make it through this.
With Burnett and with and Clinton Dix, I haven't seen the contract details yet. I don't know if it's a poison pill contract by the Raiders. I mean, Reggie McKenzie. The problem with the Raiders right now is they have a lot of cap room they need to spend to get to the cap floor. That's why they gave Trent Richardson a golden parachute, $2 million signing bonus. So it could be a really front-loaded contract for Sean Richardson, almost in a Daryl Morey way. I'd love to keep him. He's been a player that Ted drafted late. He's really showed some promise from a versatility standpoint over the last few years, and I think he's a player that's really big on special teams for the Packers. So I think Ted's going to try to do everything that's smart for the Packers to keep Sean Richardson.
Haha's tweet was pretty sad today when he said Sean, don't leave me, Sean, and I'm like, man, that makes me sad. Like, don't go, come back. We'll bring you back in. So we'll see what he does. I think he's a hell of a player. He just needs a little work, and it'll be all right. I think he'll be good in a couple of years.
I would agree.
NFL draft. Do you have any sort of read on where do you think the Packers are going to? Are they going to go linebacker? Are they going to go corner? Is it something not there? Who are some of the guys you like that are going to be right around where the Packers are picking at 30?
Yeah, so this year I've had a pretty cool experience, with the Browns having the 12th and 19th pick, and the Packers obviously picking late at 30, I believe. I've been talking to a lot of NFL agents, setting up a lot of interviews for ESPN Cleveland, and I think a linebacker that I've heard a lot about out of the University of Miami, Florida, is the Pyramid kid.
Okay, Denzel Pyramid, yeah.
He's your prototypical middle linebacker that can cover. Yeah, Denzel Pyramid. I've also heard about the Wake Forest corner. I believe his name is Chris Johnson. He's a little on the smaller side, but Ted Thompson really is going to have to find someone to replace Tramon Williams. And I would love for the Packers to get Devin Funchess. Someone to kind of highlight later in the draft. I know people are really in love with Richard Rodgers, but Jack Nicklaus's grandson from Florida State, the O'Leary kid, that kid's going to be a ball player in the NFL. He's not being graded out right now in the Max Williams levels, which I think Max Williams from Minnesota is going to end up not being that great of a player. But if you can snag O'Leary in the second or third round, he's a Dallas Clark prototype. So that's what I've been hearing about the Packers. But I've also been hearing that, Ted is more than willing to move up this year. He knows at this point in Rodgers' career that they're a player away from winning the Super Bowl. So if Malcolm Brown is there, he's a big D tackle out of Texas. If you see a guy like Alvin Bud Dupree start falling, he's a kid from Kentucky that's going to be around there at the end of the teens. He's a really good pass rushing kind of prospect. So if someone starts falling on draft night, even like a Vic Beasley,
don't even get me excited. Do not even do that to me. I love Vic. I think
a guy like Vic Beasley, but he's been dropping a lot in boards. Yeah.
Yeah, because everyone started falling in love with Dante Fowler.
This isn't going to be the year, Charlie, where I mock us. Yeah, and remember a couple years ago, or it had to be over 5, where I mocked that Ted would go up to 5 and pick Eric Berry. I mean, that would have been awesome. But I don't think he's going to be that big of a jump. But don't be surprised if the Packers end up picking in the teens in the 2015 NFL draft.
All right, and since you're kind of doing Browns stuff, and you can speak to the Browns too, but who would be the players on that would make you nervous if the Bears and Vikings got where you're like, God, do not pick this guy. I don't want them to get this player since the Browns kind of are drafting around where both the Bears and Vikings are. Obviously, the Bears a little higher at 7.
Yeah, I would say at the Bears at 7, if an Amari Cooper fell to them, I think that guy has Reggie Wayne written all over him. Just from a standpoint of a 3-year start at Alabama, huge, great route runner, has a lot faster than a lot of people think. You also look at a guy like Danny Shelton.
I love
He's not going to be a
Shelton.
Pro Bowler, I don't think, but I think Danny Shelton could really shore up either of those defenses, especially the Bears. And then another guy, a wide receiver, Brashard Perriman, Brett Perriman's son from Central Florida. He had a really good pro day, ran a 4.25. He's someone that's climbing up boards, and I think that guy's going to be a burner. I think he ends up being better than Kevin White and Devontae Parker.
Wow.
Both guys that are mucked ahead of him right now. So if the Bears went and landed Perriman, or the Vikings even, I mean, I know a lot of people have faith right now in Charles Johnson. Not a lot of knowledge of what's ahead for Cordarrelle Patterson, but Brashad Perriman is a guy that I'm really looking forward to seeing play in the league.
Have you watched any game tape on Perriman by chance? He has no hands.
Yeah, I mean,
he has no hands.
No, but he has hands.
No.
He caught that Hail Mary against Eastern Carolina.
Okay.
I'm telling you, man, Perriman is going to be a star. He's a flyer. I like him a lot. I'm putting the Murph stamp of approval on him. So.
Well, the Murph stamp.
But I also think you got.
Okay, go ahead.
There's one last thing, and I know no one ever wants to talk about offensive linemen, but
no, I do.
Irving, he's a guy that left.
Go ahead.
Yeah. He's a guy that plays all positions. He plays all positions for Florida State. Played a lot of left tackle, but his position is going to be center in the NFL. The Packers are pretty set there, but he's a guy that might come in and make a Zach Martin impact in 2015, and you just don't need either line to be short up, and the Packers don't have a lot of pass rushing options.
Yeah, I can't pronounce his name. The guy from Washington who has no knees. He was a guy that a lot of people kind of liked. He's Samoan, and I'm not even going to even try with his name, so I apologize. That's a bad look on my behalf, but I don't know if he's still projecting the first. I haven't really looked at mock drafts a lot. I started to early. Eric Kendricks, the like. It doesn't seem like he'll be there at 30, and I think that's one of those. We don't really know what the Packers will do, so.
The Armstrong kid also from Oregon, Eric Armstrong. He's a pretty long, athletic kid. He'd be a really interesting player for the Packers to pick. And, you're kind of writing off Nick Perry there, player for the rest of his career. Very good. I think Dayton's really good against the run. But if the Packers could snag someone that's a flash in the pan pass rusher on the opposite side of Clay, you could really kind of reduce Julius Pepper's snaps going into next year and use him in situational stuff.
Last question about the draft. Do you think that Mariota's going to go to Kent Wisenhunt, the young quarterback coach killer?
I can't put a thumb on what's going on in Tampa right now. I don't know if they're just doing their due diligence with looking at Mariota on a Tuesday and then going to see Winston privately on a Wednesday when most of you will hear this podcast. I think the Titans are looking for the St. Louis Rams RG3 Redskins trade offer. They're looking. I don't think Chip has enough ammunition to go up and get Marcus Mariota right now at 2, but there's definitely some teams out there. The Bears, honestly, I feel like if Mariota's there at 7, they might pick him. So if you had to tell me today, I don't think the Titans are going to pick Mariota. They should because they need a quarterback, but I think they want to get more value out of that pick.
Yeah, you look at what the Rams got out of the RG3 trade. I can't remember, but all those guys have been impact players for St. Louis.
Janoris Jenkins, Ogletree. There's a lot of players that have
Trey
really
Mason, I think. Was Trey Mason one?
Trey Mason might have been. I mean, they've gotten like 3 or 4 starters out of that draft.
Yeah.
So, out of that draft trade.
And I think when those type of things happen, I think GMs get smart, and then they're like, we're not going to do that. We're not going to be that guy. Try to avoid it as much as possible. We'll see what happens. We'll put a bow on this thing
And real quick with the Titans, yeah.
No, go ahead. No, go ahead. Continue. Go on. I like
The problem with the last thing on the Titans is that yeah. The problem with the Titans right now is they're for sale right now. They're possibly going to get bought pretty quick here. So that GM and even Ken Wisenhunt, they're kind of vying to get another extension in their careers as a member of the Titans. And often how GMs look at that is by accumulating extra picks. When your job is on the line, it's not always the smartest thing to go make the flashy trade. That's more of a first-year or second-year GM thing. When you want to extend and get that extra contract year, you're going to be, hey, I traded out from 2 and I got 2 picks in this first round and another pick next year. So you kind of accumulate more points when you look at the draft board.
Also known as the Sam Hinkie Ponzi scheme.
Exactly.
So anyways, put a bow on this thing, wrap it up, get through the choppy waves. Masters this weekend, one of the best tournaments. One of the best weekends in sports. I always love it, always big fan of it. Do you think it's Rory's tournament to lose? Do you like the young Jordan Spieth, who's been red hot in the last month? Do you have any read on what Tiger might do? I know you're not maybe the biggest golf guy, but you follow the sport. Any sort of thoughts about it this weekend?
Yeah, I mean, the golf in Northeast Ohio is huge. I'm pretty close with the PGA pro, Jimmy Hanlon. Rory's never had a round at the Masters where he doesn't have a blow-up round, and a blow-up round is a score higher than 77. So I don't think Rory's a favorite in this tournament. Once he needs to show that he can be consistently for 4 rounds and play good golf. You always have to factor in the lefties, the guys Mickelson and Bubba that can play the ball left or right. If you're a right-handed player in the Masters, you have to be able to take the ball from right to left. I really like Jason Day. I know he's a fan favorite of yours.
Yeah.
I don't know what Tiger's going to do, but I will say it's going to be must-watch TV on Saturday and Sunday if Tiger's still in contention. So I'm putting money on Jason Day, I think. I don't know if Jordan Spieth, this will only be his second career Masters appearance. He's been really hot, and never can count on a guy like J.B. Holmes. He played really well at the Shell Open last week, and golfers kind of stay hot like that sometimes.
I don't know who I'm picking yet. I have to pick it today. But I really like Dustin Johnson. He's a right-handed guy, but he's figured it out. It's all between the years. He has Wayne Gretzky in his corner. Wayne's been, and that's so minute you'd think, but just having a guy like Wayne, greatest hockey player ever,
he's a proven winner.
Yeah, one of the best athletes. Being there just to tell you it's okay, everything's gonna be all right, is the greatest. So I like him. Patrick Reed. He's a young buck. He's only been there a couple times. Georgia guy, cocky as hell, very a silent killer. He's another guy that I could just see making a run this weekend. But I wouldn't count on Spieth either, though. He's red hot. He was in the lead coming down the stretch, and then he kind of fell apart late on Sunday. So, but you're right. He's still young. I think the dream matchup would be Spieth and Woods being in a pairing together, because those guys are. Spieth's kind of looking like he's ready to make that push. I don't know if it's Tiger.
Under Armour versus Nike. So.
Oh yeah, and that's gonna be huge coming up with the basketball, because Adidas has put the NBA up for sale, and I think Under Armour is gonna actually outbid Nike, and they're gonna pay a lot. They're gonna overpay massively.
I don't think so. Nike has too much money invested, but I do think, a quick note for our Wisconsin Badger fans, from the Adidas standpoint, last time they came up for renewal, they almost went the Under Armour route, and I think they kind of regret it. I mean, the Badgers have one of the lower Adidas deals of their kind of featured teams, and I just think that the Badgers, now going to the national championship game, they're in that upper echelon of universities, and Under Armour would be waiting for them in happy arms. But to your point with the NBA jerseys, I think Nike, they have too much invested with LeBron and Kyrie and Kevin Durant, so.
Yeah, but Under Armour has Steph
Curry. I think they
Curry.
look at that as they got to support their assets.
Now Under Armour has Steph Curry, and he's probably the next big thing. And they went for Durant. They gave Durant more money. He signed with Nike. I don't know. You're right, though. You are right. Those are the biggest athletes, and that's who probably it ends up going to. But I just think Under Armour is they need to get a top-notch sport. They need to be a part of it. That's the last great frontier for Under Armour. and they
Yeah.
haven't got it yet. Well,
We'll see.
Murph,
Yeah. Thanks
appreciate.
again, sir.
Hey, no, appreciate you jumping on. Yeah, Tappers, apologize if it was a little choppy during this. I don't know if I can get this to just audio form, work it down. I think it went well. What do you think, Murph? What would you grade this performance on?
I got to hear the finished product, but I thought the banter was good as always. It's always great when you can get two of the up and rising Midwestern sports talkers on the same channel. But we'll see how the audio turns out. I got my fingers crossed, and maybe next time I'll get a little better Wi-Fi.
Yeah, it might be a little choppy, but I've seen, Grant Barstool Sports isn't it's not ESPN. I think they do a great job. Obviously, one of my favorite sites, but they do this stuff all the time, and they have audio issues like this. So if Barstool can have audio issues like this, we can have audio issues like this. Well, just thank you guys again. This was episode 132, lost episode. Mitch and I will be back next week. Probably a little later in the week. We're going to wait till the NBA playoffs sort themselves out so we can talk about the NBA playoffs and break that down, and then whatever else comes our way. Hopefully we'll have Sam Deckers deciding to leave Wisconsin or not. All right. Once again, thanks to Nolan Murphy. I am out. Goodbye.